Hey all, just checking in from vacation. I hope you don't mind me sharing all of the news that I think is very appropriate for everybody to look at in these markets. And today is a beautiful green day, not only with the green vegetation all around us, but also in the market, which is awesome. So first of all, the news about El Salvador, you all know about it. But for them to go from announcing at the Bitcoin conference on Saturday to putting it into law is incredible. I can't underestimate how this will bring about the whole game theory of Bitcoin. The first to adopt, first mover advantage, etc. And there was talks of, maybe the whole Central American, Latin American world will become some of the richest countries in the world in the very near future because of their very brave and courageous step by moving into Bitcoin so fast. So sorry about the wind today. I hope it's coming out clear. Second of all, Pomp I, who's a hilarious guy, I love all he does. Pomp said, I literally can't sleep. It's absolutely unreal what's happening right now, which is huge. But getting back to exactly what this means, because people are a little bit confused by what it means when a country adopts Bitcoin as legal tender. What it means is basically now Tesla, if they're selling a car in El Salvador, they have to accept Bitcoin, even though they said they're going to stop accepting Bitcoin for a little while for Tesla vehicles. That's the importance of this move. Anybody selling a coffee or a pizza, etc., need to accept that tender. Now, there's still a lot of infrastructure needs to be built up, and it's not going to happen overnight, but it's happening, and other countries are going to follow fast. This is a game changer, as seen by the 10% that Bitcoin is up today. So compared to yesterday, we've gone from 31,000 to 36,500 in 24 hours. Great news for everybody, so hold tight. The bears, however, are still there. So you have people like JP Morgan, of course, trying to put a dampener on everything. JP Morgan comes out, of course, like clockwork. I expect Scott Minerd from Guggenheim next saying, hey, Bitcoin is in backwardation. I didn't even know if that was a word until today. But basically what they're saying is backwardation is where the current price apparently is higher than the futures price. And it's a reason to stay bearish on crypto. So everybody, be warned. JP Morgan is telling you, be bearish on crypto. Don't buy Bitcoin. It's backwardation, just like those guys. So the gig is up, JP Morgan. Nobody trusts you anymore. You're so full of it. Anyway, let's talk a little bit more about residency wars. There's another funny thing happening as part of this whole geopolitical game theory, is these countries are now looking to give away residency for as little as 3 Bitcoin in El Salvador. And guess who responds immediately afterwards? Well, for 0.2 of a Bitcoin, you can get residency in Paraguay. So I always spoke about all roads leading to Bitcoin and Bitcoin being freedom, but now Bitcoin is like a passport to many countries. So it's just a fascinating time to be alive. So the other thing that was kind of very interesting was Michael Saylor. His stock was up huge today, over 50 points. And obviously the market is not concerned about him raising another bunch of money to buy Bitcoin. But he says, what advice would you offer the citizens of Argentina during the past 2 decades? And he's been talking about the peso in Argentina for a long time. And I know on Patreon, we've got a lot of people from Argentina in the club as well. So hang tough, everybody. But he said, what advice would you offer the billions of people living in countries with collapsing currencies right now? Bitcoin is a solution over the long term. Fear is not. So there were some strong words from Michael Saylor, and as you know, I'm a big Michael Saylor fan. Okay, so another thing that's actually happening, as you know as well, if you've seen my Solana analysis, I became extremely bullish on Solana. I got into it a couple of weeks ago, and my position on Solana now is way bigger than my Cardano position because I felt much more bullish on that particular asset. But Solana also raised a truckload of money. They raised, I think, $315 million. And this is a token sale led by Andreessen Horowitz and Polychain Capital. And a lot of people do believe if there is an Ethereum killer, it could be Solana. Now, I believe the market is big enough for all players. The rising tide will float all boats, which includes Cardano, Solana, Ethereum, and many more. But again, If you look at the relative strength of Solana over the past week or two, considering the downturn in the market, it's been rock solid. So what's also kind of funny, because I know some of you do this, but the US homeowners pulled $50 billion in equity out of their homes just in the first quarter of this year. $50 billion. People are pulling money from their homes. Where are they putting it? I hope some people put it into Bitcoin, you can be sure. But that just gives you an idea of the importance of money flows and what's actually happening right now. And that note, I think, was from the Wall Street Journal. So I always get a lot of questions, should I borrow to invest? And I'm a big believer that borrowing to speculate is dangerous, but some people are going to do it regardless. Now, Russia, in the de-dollarization news, I think Russia's $186 billion sovereign fund, they have decided, as I touched on a few days ago, but they are reducing their dollar holdings from 40 billion to zero. And this was from the finance minister Anton Siluanov in St. Petersburg. So basically, the de-dollarization is happening fast. The pace at which it's happening is unbelievable. You've got Paraguay, you have El Salvador, not that they're huge countries, but second world countries. Now you got Russia trashing the dollar. Imagine if OPEC decide to, use something other than the dollar for oil prices and other commodities around the world. That would be a game changer. Or even, as some people say, using Bitcoin as a way to price energy. Because Bitcoin is monetary energy, so it should be tied to energy too. Anyway, so in other news, back to Michael Saylor. 1.6 billion was the amount that they were offered for their $400 million bond issuance. They've upped that to $500 million. And just talk about a few numbers for a second. They have about 92,070, 92,080 Bitcoin right now on their balance sheet. Adding an extra $500 million at today's price will give them another 15,000 Bitcoin. Now, JP Morgan spoke about backwardation of Bitcoin. You should be bearish because there's no institutional demand. Have they not picked up a newspaper in the last 2 days? $500 million from MicroStrategy alone to buy 15,000 Bitcoin is institutional demand. So I don't know what these folks are talking about. Anyway, again, be careful what you read, be careful of journalists. Okay, and other news as well, for many countries that keep on spending like there's no tomorrow, now it's time to look behind the couch. And that means go after the taxpayers. So a lot of countries are now investing in tax investigation to try catch up on some of the money that they've spent. And now they're going after crypto traders from 2017 in Denmark. And they say 2/3 have not filed their taxes appropriately. We have a lot of subscribers in Scandinavia, Norway, Denmark, Sweden. So be careful of those tax authorities out there, you guys. Just a gentle warning. And of course, this whole government trend is there to go after taxpayers because of all of this quantitative easing or money printing or whatever you want to call it. It's happening. Now, there's been a few little red flags regarding Binance, switching gears again. So the CFO just all of a sudden very abruptly quit. That for me is a red flag. When a CFO is up and out, that means they've uncovered something or there's some shady stuff happening. Just a small chance that this could be the case, but be cautious. I have a little bit of BNB. I read a few pieces over the past couple of weeks regarding BNB maybe having some liquidity issues. Just be careful. I've decided to move a little bit away from the Binance exchange as well as a result of this, and doing more with FTX and Coinbase. So I just want to share that news as well. In inflation news, another thing that we all need to be aware of, and I've been talking about inflation for a long time, some bad news, I'm afraid. The Chinese came out with their equivalent of a producer price index, which is also known as factory inflation or factory gate inflation. This was 9% last month. Obviously, the United States buys everything from China, and the factory prices have just gone up 9% in a month. This is going to have a huge trigger effect for the rest of the world. Think of this China indicator being like a canary in the mine. This is a leading indicator for inflation around the world, so expect it to come hard. 9% a month is staggering. I just got to leave that right there. Now, in other China news as well, which is kind of interesting, China's Qinghai province has ordered all crypto miners to shut down as it follows other provinces like Xinjiang and Inner Mongolia. So that's fine. That was one of the FUD elements, you know, too much mining in China, too much carbon emissions from mining in China. And that brings me to the next piece of little good news, which is related, as always. El Salvador have started a volcano mining group business. So pulling energy that is untapped out of the ground, out of the volcano, to support and fuel crypto mining. So again, El Salvador has not only just put itself on the map last Saturday, but now it's kind of next level and changing a whole bunch of thinking around the world. So there is just one final piece of news I want to leave you with today, and that is physics and the law of thermodynamics guarantee Bitcoin's future. And Bitcoin is not a perfect monetary system, but it's simply the best monetary system the world has ever seen. And this is why, on a long enough time scale, don't worry about the undulations that happen, you know, week to week, month to month. Long term, this is the hardest money, the most pristine asset, and the dominoes are falling all around the world. Everything, all the world's monetary energy one day will be stored on the Bitcoin network. It's simply the natural laws of the universe and the natural laws of physics. Big thank you, everybody. Back from the garden. I'll tune in briefly tomorrow, and trying to get some downtime here as well, so I can come up with some new creative ideas for you all. Big thanks to everybody on Patreon, and be safe, everybody. See you tomorrow.